How's it going, y'all? Today we are going to be looking at some pretty important subject matter because we have been blessed with a whole page of developer notes containing new content and features. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going down that developer page, breaking down each little individual section of changes, trying my best to speculate and do a little bit of guesswork based on how other Com2uS games have initiated changes similar to this, because some of it can be a little bit vague, but I think with context clues we can kind of get a general picture. And then after that, we will be doing the Season 2, Chapter 3-8 boss, because it's come to my attention and been brought up to me that he is another hard stop. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and get into these developer notes and start breaking it down. I'm going to go ahead and read what they have said for us in the beginning. December Developers Notes. Greetings from the Heroes War Counterattack development team. Thank you all for playing Heroes War Counterattack. In today's developer notes, we'd like to share details on the December update. So the very first thing they wanted to bring to our attention is the Guild Raid. Guild Raid content where all guild members attack a powerful boss together will be added. So, a similar feature is available in Skylanders Ring of Heroes, another Com2uS game, where there is a guild boss. And how it works in that game, I'm not saying this is how it works in this game, but if it's anything similar, we can get a little bit of idea on what we should be planning to do. So how it works in that game is there is a boss. Your entire guild can take 2 turns each. So for every member in the guild, you have 2 chances to attack this boss and do as much damage as possible, to where everyone's total damage will be added up in a score, so that all 30 members of the guild, their damage will be accumulative, and the total damage of everyone in the guild will be the guild score. Based on the guild score, if your guild did the most damage to the boss out of any guild, you get a number 1 prize. And then I believe there was like a top 5 prizes. And then if you were like 10 to 50, there was another prize. If you were 50 to 100, there was another. So basically, this is going to be another kind of a daily reset for fighting a new boss, and then a weekly reset for getting a reward based on how much your guild was able to do to each boss throughout the course of the week. Moving on. Guild members can cooperate with each other to weaken the boss by occupying the control stations of the boss's body. I am not going to lie, I have no idea what that means. I have not a clue, but if I was forced to make my best guess, I will say that you will get to choose a section of the boss's body that you would like to be attacking. And if, say you choose to attack the arm, if you end up occupying the control station of the arm, perhaps you can make the boss do less damage. This is a complete guess just based off of some other gacha games I've played where you attack separate body parts of the boss. So in no way am I saying that is what the feature is, but if I had to guess, I'd say that is what it is. Mercenaries selected as weekly raid mercenaries can get an attack bonus. Now, this is another feature pulled from Skylanders Ring of Heroes, meaning they're just going to select a couple mercenaries every week or every cycle that these mercenaries are going to get a major attack buff in fighting the boss. Like if you have an iron, say your iron does, 5,000 damage with his combo strikes normally. With this buff, he'll probably be doing 10 or 15,000. So it is there to pretty much offer a little bit of incentive for building everybody. So how everyone's building Popo, everyone's trying to build Terrak, and no one's really worried about, say, XYZ monster or XYZ mercenary. I don't want to think of random names right now, but it's a little bit more incentive to build everybody just in case someone is super underused. You will have a use for them eventually whenever their cycle comes through in this boss content, and they get their attack bonus. Guild Raid will be held once a week and provide various rewards such as Guild Ranking Reward, Guild Member Ranking Reward, and Individual Reward according to your highest score. You also obtain materials required for the Equipment Change System. So the Equipment Change System is the next change we're going to be looking at. But basically what that was saying is a little bit of a caveat of what I said at first. Your entire guild is going to be graded as a whole, and then it looks like you are also going to get an individual ranking grading on how well you did, so that, say, if you did really well but your guild didn't, you don't get completely screwed in the form of rewards. So that's pretty interesting, and I like that. Moving on to the next major feature update is the equipment change system. Let's read through it paragraph at a time. 3 equipment change systems will be added to help you get your final equipment faster with the properties you want. Materials required for conversion can be obtained from equipment disassembly and guild raids. Equipment of 4-star and below can be converted using steels and modules as material. And then maybe if they implemented 5-star, it would be adamant. You can change the subproperties of 3-star or higher equipment that has been powered up to plus 12 or higher. The star grade, rarity, set, part, main property, prefix property, and power-up level will be maintained while types and values of the applicable subproperty are randomly determined. So what I'm gathering from this is you take, those materials that you've been making buildings with, some of the, iron and all of those crafting materials, you'll be able to use them to change the gear that you're wearing to try to customize it in a way that you need it to be. Say if you had, dash gloves and your dash gloves were flat attack, but you wanted them to be attack speed, then you have a way to do that and maintain the sub properties of those gloves without having to farm an entire new set of gloves and get lucky, which is a big problem in Summoner's War, is the gear can be a humongous pain, or the runes in that game can be a humongous pain to get. You can change the set effect of 3-star equipment or higher. So this is interesting. From looking at this, from what I'm seeing, he has a hero weapon with the raid set, which increases your crit rate to 12. And using these materials, you can change it to another set. So if you wanted to change it to a violent set to do to have the 4 set for increased 35% damage, you can use these materials to do that, and it will maintain the sub properties. That's very cool. The star grade, rarity, part, power-up level, main property, prefix property, subproperty will be maintained while the current set effect of the equipment is randomly determined among the other sets except for the current one. So it's going to pick a random set. It's not like you get to choose it. So I was wrong about that. You don't get to just select the one you want, but using these materials to change the set, you can maybe gamble a little bit and hopefully get the set you need, or a different set if the gear that you're changing is just one you don't want at all. Equipment part changes. You can change the part of 3-star or higher equipment. So what I'm looking at this, okay, if it's random like the other one, if you have the weapon and maybe you wanted a ring, then it will cycle randomly, and maybe you could get the ring, maybe you could get the boots. And I'm sure since flat attack is exclusive to the raid weapon and you cannot get flat attack on a body or a belt, that if you got a body or a belt, it would change from attack obviously to defense or HP. The star grade, rarity set, and power up level will be maintained while the current part of the equipment is randomly determined among the other equipment parts except the current one. So yes, exactly, it's going to choose a random one. So using these materials, if you have like multiple weapons and you are maybe lacking some boots, you might be able to get lucky and reroll that into a pair of boots that you can use. So I really like those changes. Something I've noticed about this game is the gear is not hard to get. It's if you have that subscription. If you have the subscription, it throws gear at you constantly. If you do not have the subscription, you're lucky to get 2 or 3 pieces of gear through a ×10 run. You are lucky as well to get a gear that you can actually use, like gloves with attack speed instead of, flat attack. So that will make selecting the gear that you have and being able to change it into something you need a very free-to-play friendly option. And I really appreciate that for us free-to-play players, because not everyone wants to spend, a monthly subscription on a game, because of course we already have monthly subscriptions for Hulu, Netflix, all our bills, all the stuff going on already. The last thing we need is another monthly subscription for a game. But if, of course, you're doing that, then all power to you for supporting the company. It's great, and you deserve the rewards that come with it, but the rewards that come with it are very vast, and being free to play makes that difficult. Moving on, Christmas content, Xmas content. My apologies, I'm just going to say Christmas. The theme of the main lobby will be changed to the Christmas theme. The new title screen, a Christmas skin, and portrait will be added. So this is going to be the screen we'll be looking at whenever we load the game after the patch hits. That's very interesting. And this will be the screen where It has like trace specimen, all of your HUD basically, and your character stands there. It would be funny if they had like a little Santa hat on your character or something. That would be great. And I see new icons coming. So for your avatar, I guess, you can select one of these. I'm not sure how you obtain these, but that's very cool to have. I really like the Nadine one. I would definitely use that. A new mercenary, a man, a new tanker will be added. Let's take a look at this guy. He is like a blue Exodia. Look at this guy. Who was the blue one? Obelisk the Tormentor? He looks like Obelisk the Tormentor. Look at this stone cleaver he has. This guy looks like he is going to be a beast on the battlefield, just based on how his appearance is. I'm very interested to see what he's going to bring to the table. Convenience improvements. A function where you can level up by adjusting the mercenary points will be added. I do not know what that means. That could have been detailed a little bit more, because I could probably think of 3 or 4 different things that might mean. Maybe where you can level up by adjusting mercenary points. I'm not even going to get into guesswork. I don't know what that means. Hopefully, it's like if you need block badges, it'll say, here, go to this area for block badges. Moving on, craft. 1 free crafting slot will be added. So that's kind of hit or miss. I don't know. First of all, that's great for people that don't have all the crafting slots already. But if somebody already did use all of their resources and that monthly subscription, and of course, like all the stuff they needed to unlock all those craft resources, that was very expensive, I know, for the people that did that. So hopefully they get some sort of compensation, because if they would have just waited for this patch to hit, then they wouldn't have had to drop such a ludicrous amount of resources. Maybe they could have saved a little bit. So very cool for people that didn't unlock all of them yet. A little bit of a pain for people that did unlock all of them already, but hopefully they get some sort of compensation. Quest. The reward for daily quest progress will be increased, and a function where you can collect all daily quest achievement rewards at once will be added. So that's slightly convenient. Instead of just collecting every daily quest one at a time, there'll just be a collect all button. Me personally, I have a little bit of OCD whenever I see that little red mark on the quest thing, so I'll probably collect them individually anyways. But that's a very nice small convenience. The reward for the daily progress being increased, I don't know how much it's going to be increased, if it's going to be doubled or what. I never really noticed the rewards at all, so that could be a good thing. That could definitely be a nice thing. That's it for this month's developer notes. We will always do our best to improve Heroes War Counterattack based on your feedback. So what this is saying is they are actually taking note of our feedback. So if you follow their Facebook, follow their Discord, post on their Reddit, they are likely reading that and trying to implement changes based on what people feel. Now, if for some reason anyone from the development team saw this video, not that I think they would, I think that the absolute most innovative and most just amazing system I've seen for implementing changes into a game is on old school RuneScape. The way they have it done, they have a poll booth where they will suggest a change. Like it'll say, would you like to change the color of this piece of gear in order to properly reflect the set, yada, yada. Any change they want, they put it on the poll system, and the players get to vote. Players with like a, not just anyone, but players with a long subscription history, or players with clear proof that they've been playing the game for a long time, get to vote on these changes. And if a mass majority of people would enjoy the change, they will implement it. And if not even half and half, if it's a half and half split, they do not implement the change because they do not want to disgruntle half of those people. And that is a big problem I see with a lot of games, is maybe they saw a change suggestion that one person thought was cool, and it got a lot of upvotes on Reddit, but not everybody goes on Reddit. You know what I mean? So they implemented that change and everybody's like, what the hell? Why did you put this in the game? So definitely, if you have a way to implement that into the game, that would be, I think, the best way to implement changes into any game, by having a mass majority of players be able to agree on the changes. Other than that, these development notes, I am very pleased with all of them. I think that's very cool. I love this team. I'm not going to lie. For a lot of Comptuous games, I've had a lot of problems with the development teams of the games, but with this game, I feel like they actually care about their players, about the integrity of the game, and that they will continue to work to help it grow and change, and I cannot wait to see what it is a year from now. Moving on, so that is my rendition and my guesswork of all of the developer notes. So I could be wrong, I could be right. I'm just trying to implement a little bit of what I know from other CompTours games and see if I could give us a little bit of a head start on how to get ready for Guild Wars. And not everybody even knows about the developer notes yet. Moving on, we're going to be looking at the Season 2 Chapter 3A boss. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into them. The first thing we're going to be doing, as always, is breaking down the boss's stats and skills. On this selection screen, you can hold the icon of the boss to take a look at his stats and skills. He seems to have a decently high attack, a decently high defense, but a somewhat low HP. So the way I'm thinking we could do this easy as possible is just to nuke him, not really worrying about the adds behind him because they were all melee, and not worrying about bringing a bunch of super tanks to try and eat his attacks, but as much damage as we could possibly bring to try to end the fight as fast as possible. Going through his skills, Spirit of Steel is going to be his passive, gains immunity against all behavior control effects, including knockback and pulling. So what this means is whatever he wants to do, whatever attack he's about to put down, is going to happen and you are unable to stop him. You're not going to be able to immobilize him, you're not going to be able to stun him, not going to be able to do pretty much anything to prevent him from performing his attacks. Ice Nails inflicts damage to the enemy by 100% of the attack and fills up the rage bar by 20 when you attack an enemy whose HP is 50% or below. So if he ends up getting on one of your lower HP characters and maybe they're at 50% of their HP, attacking them is going to increase his rage bar. And then of course we might be in the same situation as the Season 2 Chapter 1-8 boss, where he might be able to spam that rage attack over and over until he wipes your team. Crushing Leap leaps toward the enemies to inflict damage by 75% of the attack and make them unrecoverable for 2 turns. So staying away from him in a ranged setting is not going to work here because he will be able to leap to your ranged units in order to cover the gap that you were able to run away from anyways and put unrecoverable on them. So trying to maintain above 50% HP by healing is not going to work unless you have a cleanser, in which point you will probably be wasting a lot of turns cleansing and healing while he just lays waste to one of your characters. Violent Beast, this is going to be his rage skill, moves behind the enemy with the lowest defense out of all enemies to inflict damage by 40% of the attack 4 times, inflicts bonus damage by 80% of the attack, and knocks them back. So for a total of 240% damage, he's going to be hitting your lowest defense character 5 times, which is probably going to trigger that passive to increase his rage bar even more, which will help him spam that ability. So looking at our team composition going into him now, we're not really worried about staying alive because he is not going to be, that AoE is only 75% of the damage. So that will not really be one-shotting anybody. The only thing that will be one-shotting somebody is probably his rage skill that we do not want him using too many times anyways. So getting rid of the tanks to eat the attacks, and we're just going to be putting as many people as possible to kill him as fast as possible. So as I mentioned before, in this friend support area, if none of your friends are really up to the task that you're having trouble with, these 2 suggested friends at the bottom can be refreshed. So if I wanted to replace my weakest link with one of those, but I did not like those options, I can exit the prepare screen, re-enter the prepare screen, and the 2 suggested friends at the bottom will change. And you can do this as many times as you want, until you get somebody that you think will help properly complete what you're trying to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of my friends to help make this boss as easy as possible. So we will be looking at my support being in front, since she will actually be putting down shields, and the boss did not say that he was going to prevent us from putting down shields. So worrying mostly about just killing the boss as fast as possible and not getting our HP below 50% at all to start with is going to be our priority, and shields might be able to help us with that, as well as if she puts the attack speed buff on our team, she may be able to help us take more turns to end the boss even faster. Now, I've said a few times whenever you're on these 2-wave boss fights, how we're going to do it is on the first wave, we are just going to kill every unit except for one, and I'll explain to you why whenever I get a little bit more focus here. We're going to be taking advantage of the fact that these are just small adds that are unable to do too much damage, and we're going to end up passing our turns whenever there's only one enemy left. And the reason we're going to be doing that is to fill our rage bars to the maximum, so that whenever we end up actually getting to the boss, we will just be able to unload with 4 rage skills or 5 rage skills if we think that is necessary. I'm not going to attack with my friend Trevor because I believe he's a little bit too strong and he might kill him in one hit. So as well as making sure our rage bars increase, we want to try to keep our units as high HP as possible, because if the boss attacks somebody with less than 50% HP, he may be able to sweep 1 or 2 characters. At this point, we're looking pretty good. We can pass a few more times to increase our rage bars. Looks like everybody's fully raged up except Amy, so I'm going to go ahead and kill the enemy with Amy this turn. Or if she doesn't crit, then with whoever, so that all 5 of our rage bars are ready. Now, moving on to the boss, we are instantly going to see the boss front-loaded with 3 melee behind him. So if we want to stop the 3 melee behind him from moving, we can use Tala's third skill to immobilize them, because it's probably not going to hit the boss, and it will make them all immovable, like so. So now we will put down the shield with Josephine, so that if he attacks somebody, it's not going to bring them below 50% HP. I can't really tell if that's below 50% HP or not. Now for my Trevor, I want to do the attack that increases his attack bar, because we want to take as many turns as possible to try to end this boss. Let's go ahead and put an AoE attack buff on our units, AoE crit buff on our units. And now at this point, if we had a defense breaker, this would be the ideal time to defense break the boss and then just absolutely unload on him with all of our rage skills. But my Nadine, unfortunately, is not skilled up enough to defense break. So what we're actually going to end up doing is putting a bomb on him. Let everybody get their turns out of the way. And now, whenever we come up to this boss, I'm just making sure, going through all of my skills, that this is a good idea at this time. Everyone's buffed up. Everybody is available to do their rage skills. I don't have to worry about anyone dying right now. Let's go ahead and get all our attacks in until it is his turn. Heal up Bannon. And then for Bannon, we are going to put a self-healing buff, vampire buff on Trevor. Now that it's his turn, unload all of your rage skills that will interrupt him, so that he doesn't actually end up taking his turn. Or if he uses his rage skill, it was interrupted. But now, that was just as easy as it could possibly be. He's already down to less than 10% of his HP. We could just end him. So the consensus of this boss is just make sure you are well prepared whenever you enter the boss phase. And of course, having as much damage as possible is going to make this boss a lot easier, instead of just having to sit and eat the attacks could be a problem. Stinks that I just lost Josephine. I shouldn't have pressed auto. I could have moved her back and I would have actually 3-starred this. But, you know, you live and you learn. So hopefully that helps everybody who is struggling with this fight. If your monsters don't have enough, or your mercenaries don't have enough damage to kill him as fast as you need, you can always just refresh your friend list until you find a mercenary that could help you accomplish your goal. But I didn't even have a defense break in this composition. If I did, it would have been a no-brainer. Attack buff, defense break, and the boss would have been ended. So that's going to be it for today. Make sure you're taking advantage of this double gold right now. This is huge. Do double gold, do the highest level in the store you can do, and save that gold. Even if you're not spending it right now, you are going to want it in the future. If you're having trouble finding strong friends, you can also look at the top 100 members of the arena, and then on those on their profiles, you can send them a friend request. So maybe you could get lucky and get some very strong members on your friends list. That's going to be it for today. I hope that helped y'all. You know, I'm excited for these developer notes. Heroes War developers, I want to let you know you're doing a great job. I'm actually really proud of like this community and the developers and how the game is moving as a whole. But that's going to be it for me now. I'll catch y'all later, all right?